something in here. I am making a video today to talk about mourning gecko care. It was about a year ago now that I first adopted these mourning geckos. I totally got sold on them after a video by Clint's Reptiles. I had been thinking about getting a mourning gecko for a long time, but then I saw these guys and just thought their pathogenic behavior and how little and intricate they are was just so much fun. So I decided to get mourning geckos instead. And now that it's been almost a year, I feel comfortable doing a care guide on them because I really don't think people should make care guides and care advice videos until they really understand an animal. Cannot stress that enough. Do not adopt a pet, then start telling people how to care for it right away. And I think I've made that mistake before. It's an easy one to make. But I'll stop ranting on that now. Mourning geckos are really fun, and one of the really fun things about them is that they are all female. In fact, there is some kind of folklore that mourning geckos got their name because they are mourning the loss of their males. But with all of them being female, they developed a way to reproduce where basically once two lady geckos meet and simulate intercourse, one or both will begin to develop eggs. I have 4 eggs right now. Let's see, can we see them? Up there. I believe at least 2 of them are going to be viable. Hopefully the mamas do not eat the babies, because unfortunately where they are laid, I cannot take them out to give them their own area. But yes, mourning geckos are easy to care for. They do well in the low 70s. They can handle the low 80s. They can handle the high 60s. I highly recommend around 72, 74. A lot of people say they don't need night because that they are nocturnal. I find that they are more crepuscular, which means that they are active at dawn and in the evening. So they do need light, just less. So I have just a little light for them that I turn on for about 3 hours in the morning and 3 hours in the evening. And they really thrive that way, as do the plants I have in there with them. It is not bioactive. Their substrate is just a mix of eco-earth and sand, which can work for you. A lot of people also just use paper towels for their substrate because you can see everything. And I like to, this is I think the equivalent of a 10-gallon Exoterra, but and this is what I think would be ideal to keep them in. You do need to cover certain places in it because when you have babies, the babies could escape from there. But they do, you know, no animal, well, not no, but they do really appreciate having this 12 by 12 by 18. They definitely can do fine in a 5-10 gallon, totally fine, but you will see people keep them in big tea jars and stuff, and it can be done, and there's no hate on those people. But like I said, just from my experience, they have really thrived in this size of an Exoterra. And it's fun because it gives you enough room to really give them some plants, some proper climbing areas, all that jazz. And yeah, just a couple of hours of light in the morning and in the evening. As I mentioned before, their diet is crested gecko diet, and then it's not supposed to be necessary, but I find giving them flightless fruit flies a couple of times a month satisfies their hunting instinct. It makes them less likely to eat their babies when they're born, and provides enrichment for them, as well as I do think it benefits the plants some, even though this is not a bioactive enclosure. The closest to bioactive it is that sometimes I use fish water to water the plants in here as kind of like a fertilizer. Do well in a humidity of 60 to 70%. Usually I find spraying them once a day is a-okay, or you can sometimes skip a day. It all depends on your substrate, the amount of air you have coming out. I have a very open air screen here, so I spray once a day. But yeah, 60 to 70% is good. It's not complicated to keep up with. It's very affordable. As substrate, as I said, I use a mix of sand and eco earth because that lets me plant it. But tons and tons of people just keep them on paper towels and do fine, and no hate to them. I love this Exoterra for them, but they can do smaller. And really, I would say the biggest downside to these guys is they do end up being much more of a, and I'm not even seeing them right now, but they end up being much more of a visual pet, a observation pet, than a pet that you can handle. You can tame them down and handle them, but you run the risk of losing them, and if you lose them, you may lose them for good. You also want to check really good before you open lids, fronts, whatever, because if you have a tiny one down in the crack or something, you could hurt it. Or let it out. And as I said, if these guys get out, I have had one get out once and I was so lucky to catch it. I was so lucky to catch it, and I was just panicking the rest of the day, and yeah, that was that. So I think they're in here. No, I am wrong. Well, I guess they're not making an appearance tonight. They are probably in their kala wood, and we don't want to disturb them from there. But yeah, they are a easy pet as reptiles go, for sure. The hardest part I said is making sure that babies can't get out of your enclosures, and also just, you know, if you want a pet that you can really hold a lot and interact with a lot, this is not the pet for you. These are more of an observation pet that you get to really enjoy building a terrarium for and making their lives really you know, giving them a really good little slice of life and watching it grow, because they are so small and delicate. Handling them can just be so dangerous. So this has been my Mourning Gecko basics. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. If you have more details about Mourning Gecko care, please share in the comments. I love learning. I love for my community to keep learning. And yeah, as I always say, love your pets and they will love you back. Goodbye.